everybody. My name is Kara Whitaker, and you are all joining us for a fireside chat today. I have an amazing guest with me, and I can't tell her thank you enough for joining me in this conversation. I've got Doreen Justinger. She's the VP of Bryant Stratton College, and today's focus is going to be on, or discussion is going to be on the impact of COVID-19 on higher education. So, of course, there are so many questions that I have for her, but we've got to keep it on a time crunch here. So we're going to just kind of stick with 3 or 4 questions regarding the impact on higher education as a result of COVID-19. So, Doreen, go ahead and dive right in. Tell us a little bit about yourself and a brief overview of Bryant Stratton College.
Hi, everyone. I'm Doreen Justinger, and I am the Chief Information Officer for Bryant Stratton College. Bryant Stratton is a large system of colleges. We have 19 locations and a large online division. So as you can imagine, when COVID hit, we had to try and quickly figure out what we were going to do with all of our multiple locations across 4 states. We are mainly a business and nursing college. That's mainly what our focus is currently today.
Got it. So I was doing a little bit of research prior to this fireside chat because I wanted to kind of make sure that I understood what some of the implications were on higher education as a result of the pandemic. And what I discovered was that, starting the spring semester of 2020, there was this huge disruption and 1,300 colleges and universities in all 50 states had to cancel in-person classes and shift to online instruction only. And then somewhere around the fall, campuses were developing plans to merge that in-person instruction with some social distancing, of course, and online learning to varying degrees of success, right? So some of the larger impacts that I was able to determine after some, research was admissions and enrollment, obviously, unexpected costs with uncertain budgets, student work studies were impacted, campus housing and dining, of course, collegiate athletics. And of course, we don't have time to talk about all of those today. So I just kind of wanted to focus on the broader picture, if you will, Doreen. And my first question to you is, what procedures is Bryant Stratton College establishing or has established for when somebody becomes sick on campus?
So with dealing with the 19 locations and 4 different states, right? So
Right.
Dealing with all different state health departments, all different county health departments. We do have dormitories. So we did end up having to mothball our dormitories just like, all other colleges did.
Mm-hmm.
When hopefully a person is being responsible and they're filling out the COVID tracker and telling us what their symptoms are and not walking into the building. But when it does happen that somebody is in the building and they become sick, which has not happened often, it has happened more so on the athletic arena versus the general student population because they were in the various modalities. Remote blended, you name it.
Mm-hmm.
We're doing it all, just like every other college. But we would immediately remove the person from the building, send them home. And basically, once they got into their car, we would do contact tracing with them on their cell phones so that we, got them out of the building as quickly as we could, but then needed to circle back around and see where were they in the building, were they masked the whole time, which we do have a mask rule, but as you can imagine, just like across the country, people don't always like wearing the mask.
Right.
So, we would immediately have to start with who they were in close contact with. In the early days, there were rules around, you had to quarantine the whole classroom. If people were in the classroom, all those students had to be quarantined for 2 weeks. That is now changed somewhat.
Mhm.
But we would immediately go into contact tracing through case management and, just start going down the list and checking everything off that we would need to look at, whether it was sanitizing or notifying people that may have been, within that 16 or that 6 feet, more than 15-minute,
Mhm.
concept. So that
So
was pretty much the process we used.
do you feel like since incorporating those measures, that not only you've successfully mitigated the spread of the virus on your campuses, but your students and your staff and faculty members feel safer?
Oh, I definitely feel that our staff and students definitely feel that the college did a tremendous amount to make the building safe.
Mhm.
Right from putting wraps on the handle poles and hourly cleanings, we really changed a lot of what we were doing, as did every business, out there. They really had to put a lot of different measures in place. But I do think that our students feel very, very comfortable coming back to our buildings. And we did have more people come back in September.
Mhm.
Um, and then January, again, even more students came back because, being in the health arena with nursing and medical assisting, the students have clinicals, they have different labs that they have to take. So we had to bring them back to campus. And I
Right.
do think that they feel very safe.
Good, good. So in terms of the pandemic and the changes that higher education has had to make, do you feel like this is a permanent, like, is this going to pass in time, or do you feel like this is a mainstay, like moving forward, regardless of whether or not it's COVID-19, the plan is, not necessarily with Bryant Stratton College, but in higher education in general, the plan is to maybe continue some of these measures you've incorporated.
Yes, I do think higher education has changed forever. Um, the people that, whether it's faculty, administration, and I'm talking across the country,
Right.
that maybe were not in favor of blended learning
Hmm.
or doing more things remote, they quickly had to change their mindset on that. Um, I don't think it'll stay 100%,
Right.
like every single class be 100% remote. I don't think that will be the model. I think most colleges will go to some model where they're incorporating a blended scenario where the students go to class sometime and they take some of their coursework online, because research does show that that's a really good way for students to learn. And sometimes it's tough to get people over that hump, but I think the pandemic has really helped that. At Bryant and Stratton, we say we're not going backwards.
Right.
So we are definitely forging ahead with our blended concept. I don't know that we would have the extent of the remote that
Hmm.
we're doing right now, because then that becomes distance education.
Right.
But we are definitely not going 100% back to the traditional classroom. And I think many colleges are going to be in the same boat.
So Bryant and Stratton was never from the beginning. You guys were never a online coursework. You've always been a traditional campus where everyone comes on site to receive, their instructions.
So we have both,
Oh, okay.
but our online is a whole separate division.
Oh, okay. Okay. I
And
understand.
some of our campus students, they can supplement and take an online class here or there. But for the most part, the people that walked in our buildings, they were the traditional, I want to sit in a classroom and
Hmm.
learn. And even they have changed now. Now that they've become more technology savvy, as everybody has over the last
Right.
year, they like this option of, oh, I don't have to go to class for 3 hours every week, I can go to class for an hour and a half and do an hour and a half of work online. So we are definitely not going back to our 100% traditional, everything in the classroom, 100%. They are definitely going to have a blended scenario. And I think a lot of the smaller colleges across the country, this is going to be a model for them to deal with their classes and their students and make it more enticing for more people to come to their college, because everybody wants flexibility.
That's a good point.
Right? Everybody wants to be on their own schedule, come and go, do whatever. Oh yeah, I can come to campus for a couple of hours a week and then do the rest of my work, online.
Right.
That is the model that people want nowadays. They just want flexibility.
Yeah, I don't know if you ever pay attention on like LinkedIn, for example, occasionally someone will create a post where they're asking you to, thumbs up, love, or, you can use the different types of responses or replies to the post to kind of indicate the level of on-site work that you want to do, or even on-site schooling. So like, would you want to return to a 4-day work week on site, 2-day work week, and so on and so forth? And what I found in each one of those posts, which is just very interesting to me, is this concept that really nobody wants to go back. like, not to say that they don't want to go back to some extent, right? Because there is that social aspect we all miss. And for the students especially, I can't even imagine, my first opportunity to be out in the real world is usually your college experience, right? And missing out on being able to do some of the things that I remember being able to do in college, and these kids aren't getting that right now. Now, that's not to say it won't happen in the future, but my heart breaks for them a little bit, because that's part of the adventure. It's part of the experience, and they need it, but you're right. I love the fact that you mentioned that the model is going to have to change, and things are going to have to be more enticing if you're looking to continue to increase your admissions with new students every single year. You hit the nail on the head there. So in terms of messaging, what message do you think institutions should be communicating to students, faculty, and staff with regards to our current situation in the pandemic?
Well, I guess it all depends upon your individual situation, but in Bryant Stratton, we are telling the new students we still have new students continuing to enroll with us, and we're showing them the safety measures. We show them the social distancing. The biggest question for them is all about safety. Especially if parents are involved, right? Mm-hmm. Bryant Stratton is more of a non-traditional school, so our students are a little bit older. Mm-hmm. But we do have, more traditional students, especially in our athletic programs. The parents want to know, well, how are you going to keep my, son or daughter safe? And, when they come to visit the campus, they are shown, the very specific protocols that we have in place. Everybody's doing everything they can. I believe in all colleges, in all schools, whether it's, K through 12, they are trying to show everyone that it's safe to come back to school, mm-hmm. that there's a lot of things occurring in the background that people don't even see that make it safe for them to return. So, our messaging here at Bryant Stratton is it's safe, and you're not here the type of hours that you used to be here, because we're in this different mode. So come on back.
Right.
just like you said, yes, it is a big struggle to get people to come back. No question. No question. So,
But at least Bryant Stratton is being flexible enough to give you those options. Whereas, I'm sure on some level there are certain campuses and universities that are just they're not able to provide that type of flexibility. So, and the other thing I also find really intriguing about Bryant and Stratton is the fact that you're spread out. I'm accustomed to dealing with universities or college campuses that are quite small, I guess, because usually they're at the very least centralized in one state, where you guys are in several states.
right.
And so, like, the concept to me of being able to navigate this COVID pandemic, while meeting all of the mandates and legislature and everything that is required of you in that one state, in addition to making sure that you are consistent across the board from a policy perspective from the school itself, like, that's a hurdle that I can't even imagine you guys the undertaking, right?
Yep, it was definitely huge. We have campuses in New York State and we have campuses in Wisconsin, and they
Yeah,
were on opposite ends of the extreme.
yeah,
And trying to navigate that down the middle. And we would have people in Wisconsin saying, even students, why do we have to do that? Well, we're trying to navigate down the middle of the road because New York State was so ultra conservative,
right.
and we had to follow what we were being told in New York State. So it definitely has been a challenge, trying to navigate all those different state mandates. It's definitely interesting.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I guess in closing, I want to commend you guys for the job that you've done. And you were one of those early on
Yeah.
thought leaders in terms of, a lot of universities that I've had an opportunity to talk to while demonstrating our products. They're scared, and they want to make the best decision possible, not just for the university but for their staff and students overall, and I understand that. But you guys, you were ready to hit the ground running, and you knew you had to act fast. It was incredibly fast, actually. How
Yes,
quickly
it
you
was.
guys moved. But I think because in doing that, you guys were able to, I guess, provide that security blanket that your faculty, staff, and students so desperately needed in a time when everything seemed like it was falling apart. It's nice to know that, okay, somebody over here is taking care of this. I don't know what it's going to look like. I'm going to wait until they tell me what we're supposed to do, but it's under control. And there's a lot of examples that I have had experience with businesses and institutions, and just everything under the sun, where they are just completely and utterly unprepared. They're scared. They don't know what to do. They're afraid of making a bad decision or failing. And as a result of that, time is lost, and people can't return to work. They can't get paid. I mean, it's just a whole, domino effect, right?
Yep. Yep.
Um,
And you number one, you had to make the associates and the faculty feel comfortable
right,
even before the students, because
right,
we needed them to get back to work, whether in the building or not in the building. And we had to really jump in and make sure that they were feeling confident in everything that we were doing. And then we roll in the students, and start, because for many weeks, right, we were all on hold. The students
right.
weren't in class, nothing. Everybody was trying to figure it out across the country.
Hmm.
Um, but then, and they were remote. So it was much more about getting the faculty and the associates comfortable and feeling safe. And then once they feel safe, they can project that on to the students, right?
Right. Hmm.
So
You're
they're the
absolutely right.
leaders the students follow typically.
Right. And that's really for any, I mean, that's K through 12. That's any,
Right.
yeah, you're right. Well, I do want to thank you for joining me on today's fireside. And I didn't really get a chance to talk about Kokomo a whole lot, but for all of you that are joining, Kokomo is a SaaS solution provider. And we actually are, we've got multiple products, but our primary focus in the last 18 months has been our COVID-19 tracker solution. And that solution is there to assist with self-assessments and contact tracing, case management, temperature screening. We've now got VaxTrax, which is a module that assists with vaccine management. And so the whole idea here is let's get everybody back to school. Let's get everybody back to work, find some sense of normalcy and move forward, and Doreen, you guys have done an amazing job of doing just that, moving forward, not allowing a situation like this to set you back. And I think Bryant Stratton College has done an amazing job.
Thanks a lot, Kara. I appreciate that.
Yep. So that's kind of it for us. I hope you all enjoyed this. If you have any other questions, feel free to drop them in the chat or drop them in the comments section on Facebook Live, because we are live on Facebook right now. And we'd be more than happy to answer those questions for you. Otherwise, until we talk again, we will be having these fireside chats as frequently as we can possibly come up with them. But the idea is probably once or twice a month. So stay tuned. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.